What's up, everyone? Welcome to Grinders Live. I'm your host today, TJ Zwarich. I am not Dean 789427386493207, but we're still gonna have a great show today. And helping me out, first off, I got my guy Will Priester. Chief, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. Hopefully, we help these people make some money. Sometimes I feel like, man, maybe we bury the lead. Like, we do this show to help people make money. Like, that's what this show is about, and it's free. So, it's not behind the paywall. This is free action. So, I'm excited to come in on a Friday and, hopefully help somebody make some extra mortgage payment or extra car payment or heck, buy a new home, pay for your kids' college. Like, that's what we come on this show to do. So I'm excited, man. Let's help some folks.
Couldn't agree more. I started off as just a fan of the content, a loyal RotoGrinders subscriber before I worked here, and bought myself this house that I'm living in now with all of these geeky things behind me because of the DFS winning. So couldn't agree more. And helping us do that as well, the mic has been checked. Head Chopper, how you doing today, Chop?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right myself personally. Now, a couple things to address here. Number one, we're rooting for Dean to get well. We're hoping, hopefully it's not the monkeypox. I've heard some rumors, but hopefully that's not the deal. Now, other than that, it's Friday night, TJ. That means there's a longstanding tradition in my household. It's movie night. Friday nights are movie night. But some movie nights hit a little bit different. Tonight's going to hit a little bit different because they dropped Furiosa on us on Max. So, boom, we've got a good one tonight. It's brewing. Got a good one brewing tonight.
I didn't realize that. It might have to be Furiosa night for me as well. That one and Monkey Man is the other one that we just got in Prime here in Canada that I'm super excited to get a chance to see. But Monkey Man Furiosa, I'm looking forward to seeing that too because I didn't get a chance to go in theaters. So that should be a fun movie night. What are you playing for DFS today alongside the movie night? You playing a bunch of lineups, just running one? How are you handling that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do 150 tonight on DraftKings.
My boy,
like sitting there and trying to grind out one lineup is just that's pretty time consuming too. So you might as well just, who knows, man? I might just let SimLabs build 150 for me. You never know.
Honestly, I was planning on actually taking the day off. And so I didn't get into my 150 that I wanted to do early enough. So I'm going just 20 entry max today. But I actually really like doing 150 when I'm on Grinders Live because I feel like you get a good chance to talk it through. And then you still get that 45 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is of crunch time that you just get the time to build, while they're going through stuff. So I find 150 maxing on while being on Grinders Live a fun thing to do. So me and Devin in the background, Devin producing today. Shout out producer Devin. We're 20 maxing, and if I'm not mistaken, Chief, you're 150 maxing today too.
Yeah, man, I'm going all the way up. Nothing can stop us. We're all the way up. 150 today, man. I really like the slate, so hopefully my reads pay off here. And sometimes you just got to ride the wave. I think Chop knows about this. Chop, it's really weird. DFS is like a delicate roller coaster, man. Sometimes you're like on the way down, but like I feel like we've been doing this long enough. Sometimes when like you're about to get hot, you can kind of see it coming, man. So I'm feeling that way about myself as we approach the end of the week. So hopefully I'm right, and the ship doesn't, sink like the Titanic.
I'm looking forward to diving into this slate with both of you today, and to help us out, help the people in the chat out. You can get ahead of the competition with RotoGrinders Premium. NFL Premium is for the season is now available. Non-premium users can get $100 off their NFL Premium subscription. All you have to do is click the banner on RotoGrinders. You can also get yourself 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price of $469.99. That's a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium. And if you're not a fan of commitment, you can get a month of RotoGrinders Premium for $120. Those that want a test run before buying their before buying can dip their toes in the water with our 3-day pass at $19.99. Check the links in our description for more info. Devin, while you're here, I have a bone to pick with you. There is nothing more difficult to read than those that want to test run before buying can dip their toes in the water. I don't know why, but I can't read that sentence. It just, my brain, it feels so off. I can't do it.
We'll have to revisit.
That's all I got, but not a real bone, just kind of like
all good. I'll take that.
A very minor bone to pick. But also you could do like Chop's doing today, potentially using SimLabs to build 150 lineups. And we got a brand new app, it's easier than it's ever been. Like Chop talks, he's got a movie night tonight. He doesn't want to have to grind through a lineup. You can literally do it with this new SimLab app. Just a couple seconds, 150. Doesn't take long. Doesn't matter if you have a full day at work. You're getting your lineups in just a couple 15 minutes before. The expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, known as SimLabs, just got even better. In addition to the desktop tool, you can now download the mobile app on your app store, and you can use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hand. Available to combo and single sport subs, or you can buy a la carte on the app store. Check it out today. There it is, SimLabs right there. Easier than ever with the app. Let's go through this slate a little bit. Chief, you talked about how you off the pre-show, you're loving this one. You love this slate, and that's what made you want to put out so many lineups today. So why don't you give us a little overview, and in the meantime, the people can smash the like button so we can get some Spidey bombs today, maybe some choppers knockers.
Yeah, man, I really like this slate. First of all, an 8-gamer on a Friday to me is just lovely. We're used to 12, 13, 11, but getting 8 games on a Friday is like a sweet spot. I can go ahead and set it and go out, watch my son play some football tonight, and come back and hopefully look at all my earnings. But I think for a small slate, the reason why I like this slate so much, for a small slate, I feel like there's just enough pitching and plenty of ways you can construct your lineups in terms of the bats. So, from top to bottom, nobody's above 10K. And while I'm not thrilled about a lot of the cheat guys, I think there's one cheat guy like, Gavin Williams. Even though he's facing a tough Milwaukee team, I think I'll get to some of him. But all in all, I think there's an even or enough of both sides to build lineups. And even though it's an 8-game slate, you can still get really different and come out ahead. So it's a Coors slate, and I get to fade Coors today against the field, and everybody's going to be loading up on Coors, so I'm already ahead just by doing that. So really, really, really like this slate. I think there's a lot to pull out of it, even though it's only 8 games on a Friday.
I like it. Chop, how about you? How are you feeling about this one? It's ugly when it comes to pitching. So who are just the kind of first look guys that you feel like you want to prioritize today?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think there is Chief loves this slate, man. I can hear it in his voice. I don't like it as much, not nearly as much. Like, I'm looking at it, like doing the tier rankings earlier pre-show. I was like, dang, like all these offenses, the vast majority of them I could put up in the top half of that category. And so there's a lot of offenses to choose from. I can't narrow it down really. And then the pitching is, there's some suspect pitchers. I would say, Corbin Burns stands out to me. He's going to be the guy that I have the most of, I think, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth when we get there. But I could poke holes in all the guys that are going to be chalky. I could poke holes in every single one of them, so that scares me. I don't like it when it gets like that.
There's one in particular that I think I want to start off with because I'm planning on playing him in all 20 of my lineups today. And it worries me that you said you can poke holes in anybody, because the one guy I'm looking at lock button today is your Houston Astros and Spencer Arrighetti.
Yeah. So I liked what he's doing lately. I give you, and it's a great price tag. And will I have a lot of Arrighetti? Sure. Absolutely. Trying to figure out what aside from him just being a young guy and being inexperienced, and now he's getting a little bit of his major league sea legs under him. So maybe that's helped. Maybe that's what it is. Just trying to figure out what is going on differently lately, where he's racking up double-digit strikeouts. it's the fact that lately, when he doesn't have the sweeper working, they're going to a more like they find it right away. Oh shit, nobody's swinging at the sweeper and it's not in the zone because that's what it does. We got to go to plan B, which has been really heavy on the curve and changeup in game, an in-game adjustment. And that's working really well. And so if they continue that, and I haven't dug into like who's been catching him all these times, and there's a lot they could go into it. It could just be variance, but so if his sweeper's not working and they want to change approaches mid-game, hey man, I think whatever it is, he's got 5 pitches. That's the beauty of that. You got 5 pitches to work with. If your key one's not working, you got backups. So maybe it's as simple as that, and maybe that's something good. So like the White Sox stink, man. We got to, there's no doubt about that. It's all about his command. It kind of doesn't matter who you put in front of him. I think he's proven that. Like he's gone to some really tough environments and pitched well. It's not about who you put in front of him. It's about him throwing strikes, period. If he can throw strikes, then he's going to dominate this lineup. If he doesn't throw strikes, it doesn't matter who you put in front of him. But if they're making adjustments when he's not throwing strikes and finding the pitches that are working for him that night, then that gives you an extra out here. So, yeah, I like Arrighetti in this matchup. But the poke in the hole would be, what if he can't throw strikes? And, then we're in trouble. But he's got a lot working for him tonight.
Chief, how about you? How are you handling pitching today? Let's start the conversation off with Spencer Arrighetti. Like I said, I'm planning on playing him in 100% of lineups.
I won't have him at 100, but I am going to have him in. I'm going to be not quite. Well, I don't know exactly where I'm going to land yet. I'm planning to be double the field. There goes that. I love Arrighetti. Definitely think this is a good spot for him. I don't think, you need to overthink it, over the past, month or so. I mean, we've really seen him just, as Chop said, got his sea legs on him. I hadn't heard that one, Chop. That's a new one. Patent pending. Patent pending means I may use that later on. But like him a ton, if you look at, what you see from him over the season. So here's the thing. Over the season, he's had the strikeout stuff. He's at 27%. 28% to lefties, 26% to righties. But, obviously he had a walks issue, 12% to lefties, 8% to righties. But over the past month, man, 36% K rate, 40% to lefties, 31% to righties, 7% walk rate to lefties, 4% walk rate to righties, or 4.9, so pretty much 5. But, he's cut it down drastically. And as a result, he's putting up some monster performances. So I do really like him. I'm going to go all the way back up, though. I do want to talk about Spencer Schwellenbach. I think the only difference between these two guys today in terms of performance is the price. If Spencer Schwellenbach was 8,500, I think we'd be borderline putting the lock button on him today also. Obviously, I don't think the matchup is as bad, but, there's strikeouts here. Schwellenbach, in his own right has been fantastic. Chop, I think the last time we were on the show, we were talking about Schwellenbach. And I think we cashed out on that 5.5 strikeout prop, as you so eloquently let us know that, man, he had hit that in 8 of 10 or 7 of 10 the last time we talked about it. He's at 6.5 today. But outside of that, yes, he's expensive, but I think I still want to get some shares because as you look over the field isn't planning to play as much of him as some of these other guys like Shambhanaya, who also is going to be in discussion because of the matchup with Miami. And, he's got a fairly long leash. And so if he pitches well, I think, you'll get some good production there. I like Soriano at 8,400, not love. As a result of the slate he's going in. Look, the only thing he has to do is just avoid getting a long ball hit on him. He'll be able to get some strikeouts against this Braves lineup. I've been targeting my team religiously over the past, month or two. And yes, they do have Michael Harris back, but the strikeouts are still in this lineup. So I will be playing him. Matt Waldron at 7,800 in Coors. He's another guy, right above Gavin Williams. I mentioned Gavin Williams. I am going to play Gavin Williams because he's so cheap at 6,600. But Matt Waldron against the Rockies in Colorado. He's seen this team, already, has put up pretty good numbers. each time he's seen this team. I'm not saying he's going to go out and light the world on fire, but I definitely think there's upside relative to his price at 7,800. So I will be playing him also. And those are all my pitchers today. Schwellenbach, Manaea, Arrighetti, Soriano, Waldron, Williams. Going to have the most exposure to Arrighetti, second most exposure to Schwellenbach, third most exposure to Manaea, fourth most to Waldron, and then Gavin Williams and Soriano will be, in a tight race there for, fourth. But those are the only pitchers I'm playing today. That's my whole pool.
Yeah, my pool's pretty tight today as well. And for 20 lineups, I only got 5 guys. I'm going Schwellenbach, Manaea, Arrighetti, Heaney, and Gavin Williams. Keeping it pretty small today. Heaney, I don't really like, but projecting for single-digit ownership outside of Royce Lewis. Minnesota's not great against lefties. There's no Byron Buxton. And so that's kind of my pool today. Only 5 guys, Schwellenbach, Manaea, Arrighetti, Heaney, and Williams. The chat is absolutely popping, smashing the like button so far. They're doing great. We are already at 65 likes, and so I do have the first Spidey Bum ready for the people. You can get them at plus 525. Spidey Bum number 1 is Brandon Nimmo. As soon as we get up to 100 likes, I got a second, 150, I got a third, etc. Chop, how many likes are we going to need for some knockers and for a BVP suggestion of the day?
Let's go with 100 likes, nice and even, and I got it all lined up for you. I got two sets of knockers. I got to figure out which one, but before I get to that point that I want to give out. 2 of them were is a very tight race today.
I like it. Talk to me about pitching. We know you like. We're all on Arrighetti, but you're running 150 lineups today. How many other pitchers are you expecting to make it into your pool? Yeah,
I would imagine probably really heavy on about 4 of those guys, and there'll be some drifting from other guys that wander in and out of some lineups, but not very much. Some of the guys you mentioned, I agree. Like Corbin, I'll start off with Corbin Burns. He's just. I think it's a pretty good matchup right now. Boston's not particularly great right now. They had a great run at one point. They're kind of drifting back offensively. Like as far as pure arm talent, he's the best on the slate. So that's got to go for something on this thing. Even though
Let me just say, I do have the full fade on Burns, by the way, tonight. Tom.
Okay, well, I'll tell you why it's not. That might not be a terrible thing. And I'm playing him, and he's my favorite one because of the talent. This is a career low strikeout rate for Corbin Burns this year.
Yep, that's all it is.
It's a career low. Now, what it's done is it's also a career low walk rate. So he's kind of like, what is it? He's given up some of the strikeouts for more control, and that's fine. That makes him a good real life pitcher. Not as good in fantasy, but like I said, the arm talent is great, so he's got to be in the mix for me. You mentioned Jose Soriano. You know what's scary, and I don't know if the numbers are still like this because they were like this about 2 hours ago, but Soriano versus Atlanta. Atlanta had in RotoGrinders the top optimal percentage. The odds of being the top stack on the night was Atlanta against Soriano. I was like, whoa. So there's a red flag, although I don't know if I believe that so much, and obviously that's not, a fact given right there. It's just a projection. But Soriano hasn't given up in any start this year more than 4 runs. He's really solid. Like I think he's only given up 2 home runs in 1 start this entire year out of 19 starts. Everything else is 1 or less. He just doesn't give up fly balls. So that's good. But when you roster him, it's like a white knuckle ride, man. He will it's hard to roster him and then to watch him go out there and pitch because he can take you for a ride. So I'm probably not as into Soriano as it sounds like Chief is, but there's good things about his game. I mean, there's a lot to see. We haven't talked.
I'm not into him. I just feel like because of the slate size, he's in the pool. But like I'm just trying to get maybe 10 to 12%. Like I'm not anywhere near like stratosphere numbers on him.
Okay, that works. I mean, I don't. It's tough, man. I've rostered him, and it's like It'll give you a heart attack. Who else have we not talked about yet? Mania? We haven't talked. What about Mania? Is getting like the second highest bat projection tonight in a really good matchup. So he's interesting. That's for sure. He's had a really solid year. The numbers look pretty good for him. I don't know what to like. If Dean was here, I don't know if he would say this is regression or not. But so a lot of his numbers look pretty good compared to other years in his career. What's different is this year the home runs that he's allowed are down by a pretty decent margin. That's helped him out a lot. But also his home run to fly ball rate is down quite a bit. So is it just variance, and will that catch up to him at some point in the year? I don't know. I do know that his arsenal this year is way different than it's been the last couple of years. So he's changed things up. He's using the everybody wants some form of a sweeper now. That's the big in pitch. Mm-hmm. He's got that. He's doing that for the first time ever. So maybe that's what's driving the home run to fly ball down, which is driving the home runs down. I don't know. He's interesting. Anytime you're going against Miami, you got a 3.4 team total or one of the lowest ones on the slate and a pretty high projection. He's got to be in the mix. So he'll be probably in my top 5. And I don't know. We can pick it up. Throw some more names out there. I'll tell you what I like about him.
I think the most interesting kind of differentiation on this slate is FanDuel and DraftKings. Slate locks 25 minutes earlier on FanDuel. And while this pitching slate is not great on DraftKings, it is ridiculously strong on FanDuel. We have $9,800 Garrett Cole in a great matchup against Detroit. Nola's on the slate against Washington. You can get down to Ryan Pepio at 8,200 if you need somebody a little bit cheaper. But there's also there's Logan Gilbert, and there's also Paul Skeens against Seattle, a team we know that likes to strike out. He's 11-2, but it's Paul Skeens. So, Will, I'll throw this to you first. Are you playing any on FanDuel today? Even if no, how would you prioritize these top end options with Skeens and Cole? Would you rank them heavily ahead of the Schwellenbachs and the Arrigettis over there?
Well, look, man, I know Paul Skeens has hit the scene, and he's the darling of baseball, the darling of DFS. Let me remind everyone that was Spencer Strider prior to injury, but I digress on my boy. I still don't think Skeens is my guy on FanDuel because I do think the value of Arrigetti at 95, Schwellenbach at 97, Cole at 98. I think those are better values. You're getting about $1,200 to a $1,700 discount. And I think that's valuable on a slate where I expect some runs to be scored. Once again, I get it. It's Paul Skeens against Seattle. And I'm not saying that he won't go out and get, 10 strikeouts today. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think there's more value in Cole, Schwellenbach, Arrigetti. I just think those guys, the salary difference is going to help you do some other things. If you're telling me you want to play Paul Skeens, I'm not going to fight you on that. I mean, the guy's electric. So please get him into your lineups. But I wouldn't value him over those guys today. And let me just say, in terms of Aaron Nola on this slate, Nola's a guy I've just been tracking for, it feels like 2 or 3 years now. And he's also a guy where his strikeouts, they've come down over the past month. And I know that can be a little bit noisy sometimes because when you play good teams, you may not strike guys out as much. But Washington, for all of their issues possibly with that organization, they have continued to field a really low strikeout offense over the past 2 or 3 seasons. And while they're not going to pile up tons of runs, your ability to go out and just mow this team down, it does not exist. Now, I'm not saying he won't go out and do it today. Aaron Nola's a great pitcher. But Nola's kind of on the outside looking in for me. Similar to Corbin Burns, only because of strikeouts. Now, Corbin Burns, the difference to me between Nola and Burns is Burns' other numbers, like the power, the ground ball percentage, everything looks good. His strikeouts are just down. With Nola, his strikeouts are down, and he's given up more power than usual. Over the past month, he's given up a ton of power. He's been walking a few more bats over the past month. So his hard hit percentage is up over the past month. He just seems to be trending in the opposite direction. But so that's how I feel about the slate. That's how I, analyzed it. And that's where I'd be at on FanDuel.
I think Skeens on FanDuel would be priority 2 for me, just behind a 9.8K Garrett Cole. Those two would be above the Schwellenbachs and the Arrighettis for me, just because of their FanDuel price tags. If I was running 150, I'd still have Schwellenbach and Arrighetti in the pool, but I would prioritize Skeens and Cole. Quick before I throw it to Chop for the same takes, if you had to choose one cheapie on FanDuel, who would it be? Gavin Williams, Heaney, Pepio, Waldrons, Soriano, 9K guy, where you got Pepio over there. Who would you prioritize? Chief.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Chop. That's why I didn't didn't say anything. I thought you said Chop.
I'm going back to Chop at the high price range first, so I figured I'd get your take on the low one, since it's basically just like you're picking one. Which would it be?
I still feel like it's Gavin Williams for me, because he's still cheaper. Well, I mean, Heaney's a little bit cheaper than him, but I still think Gavin Williams is the better out of the bunch. I think he's got more raw strikeout talent, whereas Heaney's got some strikeout stuff. But I think where they are in their careers right now, I think Williams has more strikeout upside.
Chop, how about you? You're picking one of these cheap guys here. Who would you prioritize? And then of the expensive options, you get Skeens, Cole, Nola, Gilbert, all these other guys here. How would your pool change if it was FanDuel?
On FanDuel with 13 games to weed through, which, by the way, I'm glad we don't have on DraftKings.
Thank you.
I think the cheap one would be probably Pepio, even though I wouldn't. If I was playing over there, I probably wouldn't have a pitcher under 9K. But if I did, Pepio would be the one. And then with a small, the numbers don't look sexy at all. They're bad. But Ryan Nelson just keeps delivering solid games here lately. I don't know what happened in his game. I haven't dipped into it, but he's turned it around. He looks pretty. And the Tampa Bay is kind of a train wreck on offense. So those two guys would be the ones. High price. I'm with you guys. Skeens is great, but there's no way I could pay that much more money for him over Garrett Cole with this Detroit matchup. I'd even probably Logan Gilbert's in the mix, but that's probably a little too expensive for him too. Cole would be the clear number one, and then I'd start filtering into guys who we're talking about on DraftKings. The Arrighettis and the Schwellenbachs and things like that.
All right. TJ, can I chime in real quick since we just talked about Ryan Nelson?
Absolutely. I got Brandon Lau to hit a home run today among my parlays.
Yeah, I don't know where we're at on the likes, but I'm just going to go ahead and give out one of my props. I did take Ryan Nelson at more than 5.5 strikeouts today. I mean, this Tampa Bay lineup, Tampa Bay, the White Sox, Detroit, it's not getting much better in terms of strikeout matchups than these right now. And so he made the list for me today. I mean, I think he's got about a 30% K rate over the past month. And let me verify that,
somebody was asking it earlier. Somebody was asking this earlier, Chief. Is this the K of the bidet?
It's not the K of the bidet, but he made the list. 5.5 strikeouts, man, against this lineup where, guys, I mean, outside of Yandy Diaz, I think I talked about this before, everybody else is above a 23% K rate outside of Yandy Diaz. So that's 2 through 9. He may, in fact, be able to pick up 4 to 5 strikeouts his first time through the order. So I hope, at least, that would be great for my props. But I like him today in terms of the prop world and wanted to put that in.
We're only a couple. We did just hit 100 likes, so we got enough for Spidey Bomb number 2. We got enough for Chopper's Knockers. Which Chop, do you want to get to the knockers now, or you want to get to them at the end of this after the sacks?
I can give them out right now. I give you a pair of knockers right now.
Give me a pair of knockers right now, and then maybe if we get up to 150 likes, that's when we get
we can get the other one. All right, I can do that. So I'll go with these guys. So I don't know if you've ever been to Baltimore. It's kind of a rundown, cheap old town. So I'm going to go with some cheap Baltimore knockers, some Marion Barry crackhead style knockers. Give me the 6'8" Eloy Jimenez, Cedric Mullins combination there. I like that, man. I like. You'll see it in the tiers. I like Baltimore tonight.
All right, there it is. Baltimore's first set of knockers. I too like Gunnar Henderson and Santander to hit home run today. A little less sneaky, but I like those guys a lot as well. Chief gave us an option for a nice prop with the Ryan Nelson one. Maybe he's got a K the bidet coming as well. And in case you missed it, RG Premium subscribers can now use the RotoGrinders DraftKings Pick 6 browser extension on Firefox to have our premium props and pick'em projections overlaid on screen so you can quickly and easily find the lines and with the best value and make expert picks all in one place. Download for Firefox today. I know Chief likes himself some Pick 6. I'll maybe give him a little more time to come down from his laughter before I throw it back there. But
listen,
I think it's time
can't
for us
do this
to,
with Chop, man. I cannot do this right now. Chop said, Marion Barry crackhead doctors. Come on, man. That's incredible, Chop. I don't know how you think of this stuff, man. Oh, that's incredible. That is incredible. Let me mute myself. Chop, that was incredibly funny, sir. I got to give it to you. Married, unbelievable. I can't wait for the knockers at 150. Chop, you got to take us even higher, man. You got to take us higher.
Can't go higher than that. I'll get booted from the show. Devin's producing today. We got to stay on our good side. We got to stay on our good behavior.
I got you.
Spidey Bomb number 2 today. He's back. He's better than ever. He's plus 475. You can find him for to hit a home run. Mookie Betts, Spidey Bomb number 2. I got something nice and sneaky. If we get up to 150 likes, it's Spidey Bomb number 3. But couldn't pass up plus 475 for Mookie Betts. Too strong of a bet today. For tiers, make sure you're smashing that like button. As soon as we got 150 likes, we got the K of the bidet. We got Spidey Bum number 3. We got another set of knockers, and we got a BVP suggestion of the day. Potentially. I haven't confirmed that one yet, but potentially. But until then, we got time for tiers. We got time for stacks. Devin, do you want us to go through all 13 games of the stacks or just the DraftKings 8?
Let's do the DraftKings 8, and then we can do like a FanDuel addendum at the end there.
Okay. I like it. I like it a lot. I didn't actually realize that Baltimore game was on the main slate. I thought the Baltimore was just on the FanDuel slate. So I should have been throwing in my Gunnar Henderson and Santander as Spidey bombs, but I'm pretty sure those were turd bombs today. But it's worth noting that Gunnar Henderson's plus 675. So that's an honorary Spidey bomb. Gunnar Henderson, it's also a turd bomb today. Didn't want to steal it, but Gunnar Henderson at plus 675. And then I also love Santander. Those are my 2 favorite home run bets on the slate. I'm riding with Grant on that one. But in terms of the tiers for today, I was a last minute sub for Dean. Dean wasn't feeling well. And so I came in and if at the last second, I'm going to go to what I know. Look at the background. It's comic book stuff. It's geeky stuff. And so I will always rank DC stuff if people want me to as well. I'm not just sticking on Marvel, but the chat, the people there, they do ask for the Marvel ones first. And so I'm going with Marvel properties. Now that does not, and I don't mean properties as in, real estate. And I don't, it's not movies. It's not specific to comic books, but it's who is their bread and butter, it would be the number 1 pick of if you're drafting a Marvel character or a Marvel team, who is up there and most important. And so that's let us know in chat. Who do you think are if you think of a Marvel character, who's the first one that pops into your list? My hot take here, Devin, if you wouldn't mind popping it up, is I will stand for the Avengers movies like no one else will, right? They're C-list characters. They were C-list characters before these movies came out. Nobody wanted to buy any Avengers comics. Every time they made an Avengers cartoon, it got canceled because nobody wanted to watch it. And so the Avengers were C and D list characters prior to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think people forget that. So that's why I got them in 4. Howard the Duck is last because why does Howard the Duck show up in so many properties? They made a movie about Howard the Duck. Nobody gives a damn about Howard the Duck. Why is he in there? Fantastic Four, number 3. They were Marvel's first family. There's a movie coming out here in 2025 with the Fantastic Four. People forget that prior to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they were way above the Avengers in terms of popularity. Way above. Now, 1 and 2, it's pretty close between the X-Men and Spider-Man. Anytime people tell me that, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe are dead, nobody cares about it anymore. Well, there's a reason Deadpool and Wolverine was just the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. The X-Men haven't even come to the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet. The second these people are reintroduced, they're going to be making more money than ever. And then finally, Spider-Man, number 1. He is in the top tier of superheroes, only with Batman on his level. Number 1, are the Ninja Turtles a comic book? Eric Johnson asks. Yes, the Ninja Turtles absolutely are a comic book. Moki222 says, actually, no one cares about Marvel. Moki, you can say you don't care about Marvel, but it's one of the most popular franchises in the world. So that's just a lie. But we don't need to harp on this for too long. Let's get into the tiers because we got an early start for crunch time today. So we don't have a lot of time to get through it. I'm going to go based on the order that they're in lineup HQ. So, Chief, let's throw it to you first. Actually, no, we're going to throw it to Chop first because I know he likes himself some Baltimore today. We got Boston Red Sox at the Baltimore Orioles. Where are you ranking these two stacks?
Boston's going down in the Avengers. I don't like where the Avengers are at, but I got to respect it for the tier board here. They're going in there. It's just a tough deal against Corbin Burns, and they're not exactly hitting the cover off the ball lately. So they're going down. Baltimore, I do like quite a bit more. I'm taking them up in tier 2. You know, up to get up to tier 1, you got to be pretty special, and they're on the verge. But I'm gonna put them in X-Men. I like this matchup. They're just a pretty solid team, and it's a pretty good environment tonight to hit in.
I like it. I got Baltimore near the top today as well. Really, really love them. I think they're fitting in the X-Men. Chief, agree, disagree? Where you got these two teams?
Yep. I agree 100% with this assessment.
All right. Well, you can take us on to the next one. I would maybe consider having Baltimore in 1, but I'm not gonna argue it. I'm just here to break the ties, as Dean is. What else am I supposed to say? We live in the world of a salary cap. Not to get technical on you, but it's your turn, Will. Miami and New York Mets. Where are you ranking these two stacks?
Miami's going in the Avengers for me. I don't think they're a top stack on the day. And then the Mets, I think I'm going to get some pushback on this one. I feel like the Mets, a lot of people are going to have them in Spider-Man. They're going to Fantastic Four for me today. I'm not thrilled about the Mets. I don't feel like they're the best offense on the slate. I think they're just right in the middle ballpark. I mean, look, they can score runs with anyone when they're outside of that park, and they scored 6 yesterday. But they're not facing a great pitcher, but I don't trust this offense as much as the rest of the field, I don't think. So right in the middle for me. Not bad, not good. Just blah.
Chop, how about you? They got the highest implied team total on the slate outside of the Padres today. You agree or disagree with the ranking of the Mets? Lucky Steve's not here, Will.
So I'll start off with Miami. I like that spot for them. Tier 4 is fine. You know, you just never know when he's going to get blown up. The Mets are, I got the Mets as a tier 2 team, even though the offense is not particularly been great lately. The thing about Munoz is, at this point in his career, watching him, it's pretty clear he's electric against right-handers. His stuff really plays well against right-handers. Against lefties, the exact opposite. They're smashing him. They're smashing him for a reason. His sinker is his second most used pitch. It's very effective against righties. Lefties are smashing like a 500 weighted on base against him. He can't get lefties out. They've got lefties in this lineup, so I got him in tier 2.
I'm going to say tier 2 as well. I think chalk would be enough to bring them down to tier 2 from 1, but I think tier 2 is a pretty nice spot for them there. I did see somebody asking in chat, Miami mini stack against a chalky Minaya. I think that's kind of what tier 4 means, in my opinion. Like, I'm totally okay with playing a mini stack here. If they were in Howard the Duck, that means I have no interest in playing them at all. But Miami in the 4, that kind of means if I'm playing 150, maybe I got a couple 5-man stacks and then a few mini stacks there as well. I don't think there's any problem with that. Chop, keeping it with you, Minnesota and Texas. I actually think Minnesota personally is a sneaky strong team today.
Well, I could start off with Minnesota. Then I got them in tier 2 also. Like I said before we started doing this, so there's a lot of offenses for me that are actually pretty good tonight. So I'm not going to be surprised tier 2 is going to be pretty popular for me. Yeah, I like Minnesota against the lefty tonight. Minnesota's just when they're healthy, just a very strong lineup, period. Like, they've got a lot of power in there. Haney is nothing. He's league average at best. Now he does contain as best he can when he gets on the mound, but he's league average. Texas is a tier 3 for me, fantastic 4. Yeah, I'm just they're a strong offense most of the time, but Woods Richardson's good enough to keep things in check. They're just average to me.
Did I miss the Twins ranking? Where did they land?
Number 2.
X-Men.
All right.
X-Men.
Chief, how about you? Agree or disagree? Twins in 2, Fantastic 4 and 3. I mean, Texas and Fantastic 4.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. Let me check something real quick on my stats page here, because I think I do have. Well, I've got Minnesota and Texas tied here in my stack rankings. I'm probably a lot closer to Texas and X-Men than Chop is, but like I'm not gonna fight with them in terms of 3-2. But Minnesota I did have ranked 2. And in full disclosure, I probably played Minnesota more than any other analyst this season. I feel like I play them every slate, and they just keep smashing. It's incredible.
Yeah, you definitely are typically on the Minnesota train. I remember that from the last day we were on the show together. You had Minnesota as your top stack, and they absolutely went off. No disagreements from me here. I like both of them in that tier. Let's take it to the next game. We're making some pretty good time here. We still got about 22 minutes before the crunch time crew comes in. Where are we at for likes? 134, so that means we are only 16 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 3, a K of the Bidet, and Chopper's second set of knockers today. We got the White Sox and the Houston Astros, Chief. Where do you got these teams today?
Yeah, White Sox are just going to go and Howard the Duck for me. I know everybody say, well, Arguetta's getting all this ownership. We need to be playing the White Sox. I get it. I'm not doing it. So, they're out. Houston. This is where I think it starts to get interesting. And because we have time, we can kind of stretch this out a little bit. Chop, I do want to get your feelings about the Houston offense because I know Bregman is sitting today. However, something is going on with Crochet. I think it's arm fatigue for what it's worth. And then they don't plan to stretch him a whole long time. I think at max we get 4 innings out of Crochet. So he's just someone I've just been Xing out. I know he's been electric over the course of a season, but Crochet, and I talked about this on the morning grind last night. I view Crochet the same way I view Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore started out the season through spring training, looked fantastic. And I mean, he cruised until about the All-Star break. And when he got back, he has not been the same. Strikeouts have come down, getting knocked around, pitch count gets run up early. And I'm comparing it to Crochet because Crochet is experiencing something similar right now. And they don't intend to stretch him that far, I don't think. So for me, I really like this Houston offense today. Despite the fact that Bregman's not in, that means they got a little bit cheaper. Now, I think they brought in Caratini for Bregman. I think that's what they're doing, which, look, Caratini is nothing near what Alex Bregman would be doing, but it still gives us, a cheaper bat here. So I really like it. I like Houston. Houston's going in the X-Men tier for me today.
Houston in the X-Men tier, White Sox and Howard the Duck. What do you think, Chop?
Oh, I don't know. I would say that first off, Crochet with the Astros is in his first 19 starts, Crochet was averaging 89 pitches a game. And yeah, they've made a specific point to taper him down in his last 5 starts. It's 62 pitches a game. He's clearly not getting that full run. So that would definitely keep him out of play for me, probably as selecting him as a pitcher. But for Houston, I really wish Bregman was in the lineup. He's their hottest hitter. He's absolutely on fire. I get it. He's got a sore elbow, so you got to sit him. I wish that wasn't the case, because now we move several guys up in the order that don't deserve to be there, so that kind of hurts the stack like that. But so I got Houston for Bregman sitting. I had Houston in Fantastic Four. And as far as the White Sox, like, am I going to play very many White? Probably not have a single White Sox stack, but the numbers say, when Arrietty's that high owned and he's that volatile with walks, you got to play some Sox. So I'll put him in Avengers. But I won't have a stack of Chicago probably.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna drop Sox back to Howard the Duck just because they're the White Sox. I can't do it. I guess maybe a cheap Benintendi. That would maybe be the only thing I'd want to do. And then we'll keep Houston there. I agree that they're nowhere near as potent now. Bregman was somebody I wrote up in my prize picks earlier as somebody my underdog article earlier as somebody that I wanted to play. But it does lower their ceiling, but I think it also makes them a really, really cheap option that we can get to as well. Chops, sticking with you here, we got Cleveland, we got Milwaukee, both of them having an implied total of exactly 4 runs. Where do you got these two teams today?
All right, Milwaukee. I have doing the rankings here pre-show and just trying to figure it out. I didn't have anybody down in Howard the Duck, so I put Milwaukee down there last minute just to have somebody down there. It was either going to be Howard the Duck or the Avengers. I'm not a big fan of Milwaukee. I think Gavin Williams does enough to keep himself in games and not give up too much, and he doesn't have a big fly ball rate, and he's just good enough. So I'm not a huge fan, even though Milwaukee's scrappy. But Cleveland, for me, I like them. They're going in X-Men. Savali. So I know it's a revenge game, but I think of the other way, man. If anybody knows what he has there in his arsenal, if anybody knows how to take advantage of it, it's the old team that traded him away at one point. Has got to be pretty familiar with him, all his ins and outs. They're a strong offense. They got they got enough, man. I like them. I'm putting them in tier 2.
I couldn't agree more with that one. I like that a lot as well. I have a few of them in my home run bets, considered a few of them as Spidey bombs, but I did promise the people something a little bit sneakier. We're 7 likes away. Make sure you're smashing the like button. I actually couldn't agree more with Cleveland. I love them today as a sneakier option. Chief, what do you think about the Brewers and the Guardians?
Brewers, I think that's a little bit too low, Chop. Put them in Howard the Duck. This is a good offense. I agree with you on Williams. I think he's going to limit them some, but man, I can't put them in the same tier as the White Sox. I'd have them in Avengers. Cleveland's my top stack of the day. Like, I'm borderline all in on Cleveland. I'm going to have so much Cleveland today. You guys have no idea. Cleveland's going in Spider-Man for me. When I started looking over the landscape and just kind of digging into some of these numbers, Chop, Cleveland to me looked like they had absolutely the best matchup on the slate outside of the Padres. And the only reason why I feel like we're not as high is because the Padres are in course against Cal Quantrill. I feel like Cleveland is in basically a similar spot, but we're just not playing. And so, Savali's been getting up a ton of power over the course of this season, over the past 30 days. Tons and tons of power. 256 ISO average, 268 to lefties, 243 to righties. And I mean, in terms of what he's going to see from the left-hand side of the plate, Ramirez and Naylor, my goodness, man, I feel like it's back-to-back home run time. And then they've got Quan and Brennan up top to set the table. I really like Cleveland. It's my top stack of the day. I think I've got about 30 to 35% of Cleveland stacks. Let me check. I want to confirm that before I don't want to lie to the people. Yeah, I'm around 30% of Cleveland stacks in my 150 max build. Love this team today, man. Absolutely my top stack of the day.
I'm going to leave them there. I love Cleveland today as a tournament team. I think they're going under-owned. I love Brennan as a cheap option today. I'm with you. I'm totally okay with leaving them there. I think we maybe put the Brewers up to Avengers just for the fact that Gavin Williams is probably going to be the highest owned SP2. But I'm with Chop. I don't like them today and not somebody I'm going to be. I think I'll have one stack of them in my 20 lineups. I'll probably have one Brewer stack, but I don't really like it. Going to the next game here, Chief. We got the Dodgers. We got the Cardinals. 15 minutes till crunch time crew comes in. Where do you got the Dodgers and the Cardinals with a pretty high total in this one, 9.5?
Dodgers Spider-Man. Cardinals going X-Men for me today. I really like this team also. Like I said, man, I'm probably not anywhere near what any experts are thinking today. I don't care. It looks good to me, man. The Dodgers are obvious because they're facing Nicholas. The Cardinals, this is a team. They've been awful most of the year, but they get a matchup with Rebelski here today, and I mean he's not going to be out there an incredibly long time. But I don't think the K rate is enough. This is a fairly low strikeout team. Wilson Contreras looks really good. Tommy Pham looks really good. Arenado. I mean, I really like this team, man. I think this is a spot where they could put up some runs. Obviously, the total suggests there'll be some runs scored. But I really like this team. And they're not expensive. There's not – the only person on this team over 5K is Wilson Contreras. Everybody else is very, very affordable. So I love it.
Jordan Walker back in that lineup there today. Nice cheap Tommy Pham in the 3-hole. Chop, where do you got the Dodgers and the Cardinals?
Yeah, I got them about the same spot. Definitely wouldn't argue with those spots. The Dodgers are a much better lineup with Mookie Betts in there, and so it changes everything for them. And the Cardinals today, yeah, I think we could take a chance on the Cardinals in this matchup and at home here. I don't mind that.
All right, I am in the same page. I really like the Dodgers today. And I don't mind the Cardinals. I'd probably have them maybe in 3, but just because I don't love the team. But if you fellas are in agreement, I am not going to disagree. Next up, we got Coors. 6.5 total for the Padres, 5 total for the Rockies. Rockies are going very underlooked today. The Padres are not, but they also have a very high total. Chop, where do you got the two teams in Coors, the Rockies and the Padres?
Ownership aside, I'm not really basing this pick on the ownership numbers being big, but I know they're going to be big, but I don't care. San Diego's got to be a Spider-Man for me. It's just Coors Field. They're just a solid team that makes contact. They don't strike out. That's got to help in Coors Field. That's got to play out well there. And if they can get into the bullpen at a decent clip here, they can do some real damage here in GPPs. Colorado, I'm up in the air. I'm going to put them in Fantastic Four because I don't know what to do with them. They're obviously a weak lineup. Waldron, I don't like. He hasn't been the same lately. He hasn't been nearly as good lately as he was earlier. But there's a piece of me that thinks, okay, you're going to be outdoors in Denver. Will the knuckleball be dancing, man? Is the knuckleball going to dance? And if it dances, then the Rockies are in trouble. But if it doesn't dance, he could be in trouble. So I don't know where to play him. So I'm going Fantastic Four with him.
Chief, I know you usually like to fade Coors. What are you doing in this one? Where would you rank them?
Oh, I'm absolutely fading Coors, but I won't cheat on the ranking. So obviously the Padres are facing Cal Quantrill. This should be a good spot for them. So they should definitely go in the Spider-Man tier. The Rockies would definitely be an Avengers for me. Chop would say, he doesn't know if that knuckleball is going to dance. Hopefully he gets down on it tonight. I want him to absolutely murder this offense because I will be playing him. And I'll throw out a prop. This isn't the K of the day, but I did take Waldron at more than 4.5 strikeouts. Now, a lot of these I took this morning, and so I guess I should say, if you're getting odds somewhere around 150, 160, then I probably wouldn't take it. 140 would be my max on any of these. So if you're not still getting it at 140 or less, I would say just leave it alone. But yeah, I obviously the Padres are a top stack based on this matchup. And then in terms of the Rockies, I'd have them in Avengers.
All right. I think I personally would. I'm going to keep Rockies in Fantastic Four. I like them quite a bit today, and then we'll keep Padres where they are as well. Sticking with you for this next game, Chief, we have. Sorry, I was looking through my lineups. Last game of the slate. Perfect. We got the Braves and the Angels. Your Braves, Chief. Where are you putting them?
Man, Braves are going to go in Avengers for me today also. Look, they could go out and annihilate Soriano here, but I think, Soriano at home, this is a pretty good part for him to pitch in. I agree with Chop. It may be a wild ride, but I think he picks up enough strikeouts to neutralize this offense. Now, there's so much power, up and down this offense with Riley, Zuna and Olsen. Like, I get it. But I definitely think, this is a not the best spot that the Braves could be in. So they're going to go in the let's move them to Fantastic Four right in the middle. Let's do that. I think Fantastic Four right in the middle because the offense can be good. Let's keep them in the middle. But I'm not, they're not anywhere near the top for me today. And then in terms of the Angels, Angels are going to Howard the Duck for sure. I really trust Schwellenbach. I like what he's been able to do. I like the way he's been pitching, and the numbers have come up in the strikeout department also. So really like him, really like Schwellenbach. And as a result, I'm not thrilled about the Angels.
Chop, how about you? Where you got these guys?
The Angels, I'm close enough to that on the Angels. Howard the Duck, Avengers, I could get behind either one of those. Atlanta, so just rechecked RG, stacked, opto percentages, and Atlanta's still number one. Highest opto percentage, highest chance, which I find kind of baffling. I know they got a strong lineup, but boy, Soriano, man, he's got like by far the lowest fly ball rate on this. So he just doesn't give up home runs because he doesn't give up fly balls. So I have a hard time stacking Atlanta. And if people are going to look at that number and say, "Oh man, I gotta get Atlanta. They're the best leverage stack on the slate," maybe they go a little bit over-owned in the stack. So for me, yeah, I'm dropping Atlanta down to tier 4. Avengers. That's for me personally. I think Soriano is fine. He's okay, not great, not bad, but he can keep them in this game. Keep Atlanta from like beating you with too much power, and then maybe he sucks up enough innings that the bullpen, you get a pretty decent part of the bullpen. I don't know. Yeah, I don't like Atlanta in this matchup as much as RG numbers say we should.
I don't like them all that much either, but I think tier 3 just because, like say Soriano goes 6, this Braves lineup is getting healthier. They basically got everybody back but Acuna and Albies, I guess. But I think Fantastic Four is a nice spot for them. I agree. Howard the Duck for the Angels. We got 5 minutes until crunch time gets here. We have reached over 150 likes. If we can get up over to 200, I can do a final one for the people. But if we can get up to 200, we got 4. But in the meantime, we got a K of the Bidet, a Spidey Bomb 3, and we also have Chopper's Knockers. My third Spidey Bomb, I'm going with, what do you get? Can you get him here at now? Plus 650, David Peralta as my final Spidey Bomb, batting 7th today for the Padres. He's the only Padre in my player pool. I'm going David Peralta. Anytime he's turned back the clock. He's been red hot, weirdly enough. And so I'm fading the Padres. I'm going Peralta to hit a home run. And then that's kind of my way of handling them today. Chief, you got a K of the Bidet for the people?
Yeah, man, we're going Spencer Arrighetti. I think the strikeouts continue yet again today. Going more than 6.5 strikeouts here. You can get him as good as minus 107 currently. And once again, facing a White Sox team that, once again, I know they've hit the ball a little bit better as of late. But one of the things I understand about strikeouts is guys can hit the ball and strikeouts can still come throughout up and down the lineup. And so while they have a couple of low strikeout bats, the bottom of this order, 32% for Lee, 31% for Vargas, 27% for Fletcher, 29% for Brooks Baldwin, and probably their biggest name value hitter in Luis Robert at 38%. Now that comes with the 207 ISO. So if he makes some contact, the ball could fly out of the park. But I think Arrighetti picks it up here, man. I think yet again we see a pretty good performance. So I like more than 6.5 strikeouts here. And I'd actually, if you can ladder him up, obviously you need to find the site with the best prices or the best odds, if you will. But I'd probably ladder him up to 9.5 today. I really like Arrighetti.
I like it. Chop, set of knockers number 2. What do you got for the people?
The knockers. We'll go out to New York, and I talked about Munoz not being able to really control the left-handers just yet. I'm gonna hope he keeps up that theme. So I got a couple of left-handed knockers for you: Brandon Nimmo, Jesse Winker. I don't mind them.
All right, another one as well. I like it. Do you have a BVP suggestion of the day for the people?
Yep, that's going to be Freddie Freeman. He just, he seems to have a pretty good grasp on Miles Mikolas, and he's just a good hitter anyway. So it always feels good when the BVP lines up with a really good hitter like that. So I'm on Freeman here. I think those numbers are real.
All right, we got just a couple minutes left before crunch time gets here. Make sure you're smashing the like button. I can do one more Spidey Bomb if we get 24 more likes. Let's see if we got some questions here. Who do you think will be higher owned today, Chief? The Dodgers or the Padres?
Padres.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Winker or Lux on FanDuel, Chop, if you're picking a one-off?
Not going to lie. Lux has been very good. He surprised me, but it's going to be Winker for the aforementioned issues with Munoz.
Chief, we're none of us are overly high on the Braves today, but we got a cheap Michael Harris most likely leading off. Assuming he is, do you like him as a one-off? Oh, there it is. One just came out. He is, in fact, leading off.
Yeah, I don't mind him at 3,800. Did the Cleveland lineup come out? This is scaring me. Something's going on if it hasn't come out yet. I mean,
no Cleveland lineup yet.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Hopefully it comes out soon. Sorry, guys. My bad. Please continue.
All right, no problem at all. What else do we got here? Somebody doesn't like the tiers. Well, most people like the tiers, so we're sticking with the tiers for now.
Listen, Tom just wants to cause. He's complaining about everything today. Like, he just needs to go watch another stream. Come back tomorrow. Like, go out on a date or something. And that's nothing against Tom. Sometimes people just have a bad day and they try to take it out on you. And I understand that about humanity. And maybe somebody poo-pooed on him today, so he's coming to poo-poo on us. But we love you, Tom. Come back anytime, brother.
Who do you like better today, Chop? You got the Orioles or the Mets in a single entry?
No doubt it would be the Orioles for me.
Yeah, Orioles for me as well. What about you, Chief?
Yeah, for sure, Orioles.
All right, Skeens or Cole on FanDuel for a single entry GPP. We'll get both of your answers on that one. If I can afford him personally, I want to get Skeens as much as possible, but that discounted Cole is going to get you liking your lineups quite a bit better and a great matchup against Detroit. What do you think, Chief?
Yeah, that's how I feel, man. I think there's enough strikeouts to be had, or that these cheaper pitchers can pick up. By cheaper, I mean in the 9K range. So, like I said, get it anywhere from $1,200 to $1,700 on a discount. And Cole is a $1,200 discount. I think I'd take Cole and get a bigger bat somewhere.
Chop, how about you?
I actually like Cole for raw points better, much less saving the salary.
Ooh, I like it. Single entry, Chop, Dodgers or Astros?
Dodgers.
Donut Man, great name, Donut Man, asking what percentage of your salary do you usually allocate to pitchers? We'll answer this one, then we'll bring the Crunch Time crew in. It's totally dependent on the slate, totally dependent on the players more than anything else. If there's good, cheap pitchers on a day that there isn't a lot of raw point guys who are going to put up a ton of raw points for you, there's nothing wrong with spending very little salary at pitchers. If there's guys who are going to put up a lot of points up top, then you're probably going to want to allocate a lot of your points there. It's all about the pitchers on the slate, who is projecting well. It's not necessarily going to be a set amount of your salary percentage that you're going to want to be putting there every day. Without further ado, let's bring the Crunch Time crew in. We got a couple of the OGs. We got Roth, we got Cheese, and we got Cards. Bring them in. What is up, gentlemen? How's it going? Roth, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are things? You're stepping into that Dean role and stepping in perfectly, I might add.
Thank you so much. It was, I got to admit, it was a lot easier when the show ends 10 minutes earlier than it usually does. It kind of, I don't have to filibuster like Dean usually does, and I'm not as good at that as he is. But since I didn't have to, it went pretty smooth.
So they didn't make you start early to just like keep the length of it? They let you start normal and end early?
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Living the life.
Devin loves us. Yeah. Devin loves us.
Shout out to Devin.
But
hi.
There he is. Hey there.
It's like I guess I'll take the opportunity. Yeah, hi.
Okay. Well, we'll take it.
Does that shirt say "Shut your mouth when you're talking to me"?
Take me to Waffle House.
Oh, shut your mouth and take me to Waffle House. I thought it was a don't. I thought that was a very nice, very nice. I thought that was a
my local Waffle House doesn't have paraphernalia that cool.
I don't even think I got it at a local Waffle House. I think I got it at like a Spencer's Gifts or something.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was a quote from the movie Dodgeball with "You shut your mouth when you're talking to me. No one makes me bleed my own blood." I thought that's where that shirt was going.
I wish. I'll have to get a different one for that one. Kevin, do we have something free going today?
Oh, do we ever,
bring
friends?
It up, but I didn't forget to bring it up. I actually purposely left it out because I knew Roth would want this one.
Oh, do we ever? You know what? I think we could kind of say goodbye to the crew. We can take it from here if you guys want to bounce out. So for TJ, Devin, Chief.
We've been crunched.
Yeah, y'all crunch your way on out of here. And we will introduce you to the crew, the Crunch Time crew, the OG crew here. As TJ mentioned, two of the sharpest and two of the most experienced, the most wizened, the grizzly
old.
Yeah, two of the oldest guys, the oldest guys in the industry. STL Cards and Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. What up, Cheese?
Not much. Good, busy Friday slate. It's a good day to be an old person and enjoy some baseball and then go to sleep.
That sounds glorious. I watched my first baseball game of the season yesterday, at least on TV. I've been to a couple games. I had the squad ride, had some pitcher, I don't know, giving up under 2.5 runs. And he was at 2 earned runs and he did the whole 5th inning. And I was like, don't come back out. Don't come back out. And he rolled him back out there for the 6th inning. And I thought we might be screwed, but no, we got that W. It was phenomenal. Peter says these guys played fantasy by mail. Cheese, I don't think that's too far off.
No, I can confirm that absolutely happened. Yes.
Yeah. You had to like
and played when you had to phone in lineup changes. And leave them on an answer machine. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you would get the information like in the paper, like in the newspaper.
I mean, you'd have to check your own checks the box scores in the USA Today. Yeah.
Man,
good times.
Good times. Cards, were you in that area as well? Welcome, by the way. How are you, Cards?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I am not quite, but I remember the phone thing made me remember there was a day back at, now we've got the old NFL ticket. You can watch any game you want on a Sunday. But I remember when I was like 10, when NBC still had the AFC games all the time, they did a thing every week where you could call in and vote for which game you wanted to air. If it wasn't like your local team. So, if it was just some random teams, our local station did like a fan vote and you could call in and vote for which game you wanted to have on the TV. So that was pretty cool. And I was always mad when my choice didn't win.
Yeah. You know, you were rigging that. You were calling up like,
I was calling, 10
Different
times.
voices.
You know what?
Oh, hello.
It was just an automated thing, like press 1 for Chiefs or press 2 for,
Okay.
whatever.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Welcome, guys. Good to have you here. We are kind of on a bit of a crunch here. The show is crunch time after all, because we're 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes here until FanDuel lock. And then, Cheese, correct me if I'm wrong. After that, we have DK lock at kind of the usual time, right?
Correct. So definitely we'll get through it as quick as we can. Slates are totally different between the sites. But if you have DK only questions and can hold them, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So we'll go through it for both slates, like at the same time. Does that work? And kind of, we'll say first base, here's with FanDuel, here's with DK, second base, FanDuel, DK. And then we'll open it up to questions. And yes, we'll focus on FanDuel questions until FanDuel lock. Then we'll kick it to DK and we'll just see how long that goes. First, though, a weather update. I do expect we're going to see a late start in Cincinnati. I'm not sure if they've announced that yet, but I just saw the tarp is on the field in Cincinnati. This is a FanDuel only game, and I fully expect it will play, and I'm not all that alarmed. It's just a late start and play. I don't expect there will be an in-game delay, though I suppose I can't rule it out. And then you've got Detroit and Pittsburgh, again, both of these only on the FanDuel slate, and I feel optimistic about everything, all modes, hitters, pitchers, cash, tournaments. You just play it, and that includes Skeens, of course. This morning, it looked like there was going to be some scattered activity, and now
you were really ruffling the feathers there this morning.
Yeah,
no, that's perfect, because that Skeens, Gilbert, and Cole are in those two games. So good to know. I'm just playing them as per usual.
Yeah, I like to put the fear of God in people nice and early in the day, and then back off. Now, the truth is, models just had scattered storms, and now it looks like some rain pregame that's already cleared, some rain postgame, but that block of time for the game looks like a low chance of a delay, 5% maybe. So just play your dudes. That's it as far as weather goes, except that Weather Edge is free. And I don't know if producer Devin, buddy, you might notice the Cubs game showing an increase in home runs. I believe there was 5-6 home runs hit in that game, 11 total runs scored, based on 135 game sample size, wins blown out, temps in the mid 80s. It said this is a good game for hitting. The results were a good game for hitting. And this tool is free today. I built it. I put a lot of work into it. I'm proud of it. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you do so. Now is your chance to do it. You go to RotoGrinders.com, go to DFS, and then click like the premium options. And it's right there under premium. It is called MLB Weather Edge. There's DFS. Premium content. You got to go up a couple more to premium content. There you go. And then it's right there on the right side, MLB Weather Edge. And you can see all of the games. In fact, we can scroll down a little bit if you'd like, Devin, and give the people a little sneak peek to what games might be beneficial to hitting based on actual historical numbers. This is not made up projections in my head. This is literally what has happened in similar weather games in, what does that say? 193 similar weather games in the past in Philly. We've seen a 15% increase to home runs, a 13% increase to total runs. It's cool. I love it. I know that experts use it, so I know that it is a useful tool, and you get to check it out for free today. That concludes my spiel. So, Cheese, why don't you dive into this slate for us?
All right. So big picture first, like this slate could not possibly be more different between the sites. Like it's amazing what these 5 games add to the FanDuel slate. Essentially, arguably the 3 best pitchers on the whole slate are FanDuel only, and what I consider to be 4 of the top 6 offenses are FanDuel only. So like my FanDuel builds and my DraftKings builds are not even remotely similar in the slightest way. On the pitching side, Skeens is very expensive, and I don't think because of that he's not super popular, and I don't think you have to jam him in everywhere. He's not my highest owned pitcher. He's my favorite pitcher, raw points, yes. But if you play any of the guys around 10K, with Cole being my favorite, Schwellenbach second, Arrighetti third, Manaea fourth, Logan Gilbert fifth. I love all of those guys. You can play almost any offense you want. Whereas with Skeens, you can't quite get almost anything you want. So officially, I have Cole. I have the most Cole. And then basically a 3-way tie of Schwellenbach, Manaea, and Arrighetti, followed by Skeens. and Gilbert ownership wise. And then I have just a couple Gavin Williams, who's $8,000 on FanDuel. And I don't have a single pitcher below that. I think this just does not look like the slate to goof around with cheap pitching on a one-pitcher slate. There with so many aces, and that does not even talk about Aaron Nola and Corbin Burns. Like, there's so many good pitchers. The chance of all of them failing is basically zero. So I think you need a good pitcher on FanDuel. On the DraftKings side, we don't have a lot of these guys. So Corbin Burns becomes more viable, although I still don't love him. I much prefer Spencer Schwellenbach over Burns. And then I prefer Manaea and Arrighetti at $1,000 less. The bulk of my pool on DK is those three guys, Schwellenbach, Manaea, and Arrighetti. But I am playing a bunch more Gavin Williams on DK at $6,600. It's a lot harder to build an offense you like without cheap pitching on DraftKings. So I have a lot of Gavin Williams and a little bit of Andrew Heaney stuck in there as well. There's no like super cheap punts that are viable. But I think it's fine to play even Williams and Heaney together. If you wanted to play like Savali or Woods Richardson or something, it's fine-ish. I don't think you really need it. I have one lineup that has Heaney Williams just to get some bats. But for the most part, you can get at least Manaea and Arrighetti with one cheap guy if you need it. So the quick recap: FanDuel, spend up, but you don't have to spend all the way to Skeens.
Yeah,
one of those 10K guys. And on DraftKings, my pool is essentially Schwellenbach, Arrighetti, Manaea, and Gavin Williams.
Okay, very good. Cards, I want to bring you in and hear what you're doing. I do strongly agree with what Cheese said as far as there's so many good options. It's maybe not the slate to do something stupid. What are you doing pitcher-wise? I guess it's never the slate to do something stupid, but like cheaper off the boardsy stuff. What are you doing?
Yeah, so the thought that has crossed my mind today on Skeens, if you look at the early returns that we got from Skeens and the fact that the Mariners have been well known as the highest strikeout team against right-handed pitching all season, with the amount of mentions going on social media this morning, and even in reply to Roth's message about the weather, you would think that the sports books were just having a free promo today to bet over the strikeouts on Paul Skeens, and you just go take it. But here's the caution that I have on FanDuel with using Skeens, not just the price, but when you look at the outings that Skeens has had over the last couple months, and I've even mentioned it on here, I've been surprised at how liberal the Pirates have been with allowing him to go deep into games. And we've seen the last couple starts, he's been not quite as sharp. I mean, still good, but not quite as sharp as what we saw earlier in the year. He's close to 130 innings for the year now as a whole between the minors and the majors. And the big factor in this is that 2 weeks ago, the Pirates were right in the thick of the wild card race. But right now, the Pirates have lost 10 games in a row. So you look at a team that's on a 10-game losing streak. They're in last place now. Their playoff hopes are pretty much dashed at this point. The Pirates don't really have an incentive at this stage to let Skeens go out there and throw 105 pitches, particularly as we get into the next couple of weeks. And I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to happen tonight, but I'm saying there might be something in that strikeout line looking a little bit lighter than you might expect. And at that salary, I just don't think that Skeens is the most logical use of salary on this slate. Could end up being, pie in the face at the end of the day. But if I'm only doing like 5 or 10 lineups on FanDuel tonight, I don't think you have to play Skeens in any of them. If you're going 50, 60 lineups, I think you play some. But the discount to Cole gets you $1,400. I mean, that's an upgrade to like 3 bats on FanDuel. So, give me Cole at the salary, and then you can sprinkle in Gilbert and Nola. I pretty much agree on the DraftKings guys. It's just a much thinner pool over there. Arrighetti is probably my favorite given the opposing lineup, the construction of the opposing lineup that he's facing, his bump in strikeouts. Heaney is probably the cheaper guy that I'm using the most over on DraftKings. Even now, though it's not the most optimal matchup, you're not getting a ton of optimal matchups with the cheap guys, but I would try not to go below Nola on FanDuel. And then Arrighetti and Haney is probably my most popular combo on DK.
Okay, good stuff, Cards. I had not kind of considered the implications of the Pittsburgh sucking and how long they want to let their superstar pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at what the White Sox have done with Garrett Crochet, they've slowly started to scale him back. Now the Pirates aren't as bad as the White Sox are, but there's going to become a point where you just got to rest his arm. Yeah.
Yep.
The White Sox did tell us they were doing that. Like, sure. I think the Pirates are going to tell us. I don't think they're going to all of a sudden stop him at 75 pitches.
And I'm not saying 75, but maybe maybe it's an inning or so less. And at 11-2 on FanDuel, like, you need every pitch you can get to pay off that salary, unless he's, hyper efficient.
Yeah. I did get a question from Joe here before we switch and talk about some of the bats cards. He says, double-sided question. Do we like spaghetti in a GPP and for dinner tonight? Do we like spaghetti, which I believe is Arrighetti, for a GPP and for dinner tonight? Cards, your thoughts on both of those things?
Yeah, Arrighetti is perfectly fine. And actually, we had spaghetti last night, so I'm out on that today, but it was good.
Better for DFS than dinner tonight.
Yeah, agreed. We're all in agreement here. Okay, let's talk about the stacks and the bats cards. And again, someone says, so Arrighetti isn't a good FanDuel play? No. Are you okay with him on FanDuel? I know you like him on DK.
I mean, you're getting him at lower ownership on FanDuel, so yeah, I think he's fine.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's talk about the stacks and the bats, which again, I suppose we'll have to break up somewhat between FanDuel and DK. So Cards, why don't you do that for us?
Yeah. The FanDuel bats that are going to be most popular are the Phillies actually have a run total north of 6. They went off last night, and now they get to face Patrick Corbin. You've got the Reds against Lorenzen, who struggles with command, and they've got all that speed, and they've been hitting it well lately. And then you've got the Yankees against whatever the Tigers are cobbling together for a bullpen game tonight. At their salaries, I don't love the Yankees quite as much tonight. I think the Phillies and the Reds would be my favorite kind of FanDuel only offenses. And then when you mix in, obviously the teams that are available on both sites, I think Baltimore is really interesting against Bernardino, plus whatever the Red Sox are cobbling together for pitching tonight. The Mets get a really good matchup against Rodri Munoz. And then, of course, the Padres, who have been the hottest team in baseball the last couple of weeks, along with Arizona, are in Coors Field, and they have about a 6.5 run total tonight. So the Padres are my favorite, but they are very expensive on both sites. So if you're factoring in salary, maybe you like the Mets a little bit better. Maybe you like, the full red stack a little bit better. My favorite that's kind of maybe going to be just a tier below those others in terms of ownership would be Baltimore.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts in the stack department?
Yeah. So as I mentioned at the top, I have 6 stacks on FanDuel that I love, and 4 of them are in those early games. I rank them Phillies, Mets, Padres, Reds, Royals, Yankees. Those are my 6, and only 2 of those are on the DK slate, which makes those 2 chalky on DK. The good thing about FanDuel is there's enough offenses that I think it gets pretty spread out. I really don't think you have to really play the ownership game with bats on FanDuel, because there's just enough of them.
I agree with
kind
that.
of affordable. So on DK, I think you do have to play the ownership game with Padres and Mets. On FanDuel, I'm just playing who I like, which are those 6 teams.
Okay, Cheese, we have 15 minutes until lock, and I will let you make the call. Do we go around the horn FanDuel only right now, or do you want to try
I think we should, because the slate is just so different.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go around the horn FanDuel only, and then once we get to FanDuel lock, we'll kind of reset, do it for DK, and we'll open up for questions again. In the meantime, let's kick it off with not just catcher, but catcher first base, as we're only talking FanDuel.
All right. The Padres have like a lot of multi-position guys. Profar, Cronenworth, and Arias are all multi-position eligible. I don't think you have to play any of them at first. It's fine. But I would rather play Alonso, Freeman, Alec Boehm, Vinny P, and Josh Naylor. Those are the guys jumping out at me there.
Cards, any other names to add to the mix?
The Padres have 4 guys eligible at catcher first base on FanDuel. So yeah, you can play half their lineup over there. Cronenworth would be my favorite if you're looking for a Padre. Mark Vientos is only 3K on FanDuel, and he's been swinging the bat really well. He's up to second in the Mets order now. Bohm, obviously, for the Phillies. So, yeah, those are some guys that I believe Vientos and Bohm would only be on the FanDuel slate. So, first base is a little bit deeper on FanDuel tonight. I don't mind playing Tyler Stevenson at 2,900, even though he's, quote unquote, catcher. Harper tends to go a little bit lower owned in lefty-lefty matchups. So I do really like Harper as a one-off. We've got him at 5% ownership right now. I think it could be a little higher than that, but yeah, we can stop there.
Okay. Second base.
Yeah. So again, many of the same Padres are available. Plus you also have Bogarts at second base. I'd probably rank them Bogarts or Cronenworth, Bogarts, Arias, the guys we have at the top. Arias is fine. I mean, if you can throw him in a stack, but the ceiling obviously isn't quite as high as the other guys. India is probably one of my favorite FanDuel plays over here. Was in a bit of a slump, got a few nights off, came back and hit 2 homers the other night against my Cardinals. So India is still at 3K leading off against Lorenzen. The Reds have a pretty high total. He would be one of my preferred options at a little bit of a discount. And you can go into the 2s. I mean, Gavin Lux still hitting 5th for the Dodgers, 2,700. Gleyber Torres has been pretty popular for a week or so. I'm a little lower on him. I don't think the Yankees are as necessary on this slate. So I'd probably choose Lux if picking between the 2.
Okay. Cheese, any names you want to add there at second base for us?
On the cheaper side, Michael Massey and Weston Wilson are other guys you can throw in there. But otherwise, I agree. Cronenworth's the top play. Well, Mookie Betts, but he's 4K and you can play him at 3 different spots. So I'm not sure where to list him. And I like Marcus Semien as well.
Okay. Just a quick note. We did get the late start announcement in Cincinnati. I had missed that official announcement. But again, it's going to play. The rain's already gone. It's not an issue. So don't stress over it, but there is a late start there. Okay. I think we're at third base, Cheese.
Yeah, I love this position. I think Machado is going to steal so much of the high-end ownership, and it's a great spot. But I prefer Jose Ramirez and Royce Lewis for sure, and I kind of prefer Alec Bohm and Mark Vientos with the slight discount, and then even Berger and McMahon are interesting. But definitely my favorite plays here are Lewis and Ramirez.
Okay, Guards. Any other names you want to add?
Yeah, I like those guys as strong one-off plays. I'm not huge on the stacks of those particular teams tonight, but Ramirez and Lewis as kind of options that'll go a little bit lower owned compared to the Machados, and Bohm I think will be fairly popular on FanDuel as well, given the matchup tonight. So like those guys as tournament plays. I'm probably a little bit higher on the Colorado side of the Coors Field game. Just a little bit of unpredictability with Waldron. In that air with his knuckleball type stuff, and he's been a little bit more hit or miss over his last few starts. So I like Colorado a little bit better, I think, than most people do tonight. So that would include mainly McMahon at third, and then Tovar next when we get to shortstop. But yeah, he'd be another name that I'll be overweight on tonight.
Well, my friend, that is called the segue, and it is time to talk about shortstop. So I assume Tovar is a name you will be a little overweight on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's obvious that shortstop, as usual, you've got the Bobby Witts and Ellie and Gunnar and Mookie on FanDuel and Corey Seager. I mean, all these guys are really, really strong plays. I was kind of hoping that we'd get Tovar at lower ownership than most of those other high-end names tonight. Kind of still to be seen, obviously, where things will shake out. And you can't go wrong with a lot of those other guys. I mean, Lindor for the Mets. Lindor's probably the other one that I'll be overweight on. I do like the Mets a good bit. And naturally you can't play everybody here. So probably a little underweight on the Seager, Witt, Turner types tonight, but a good night where if you can manage it on within the salary cap, you can probably play a shortstop at your util spot on FanDuel as well.
Okay. Cheese, your favorites at short?
Yeah, first a shout out to Roth for just knowing the name of the Rocky shortstop, just like that. Just he had it ready to go.
Damn. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
That was it. Yeah.
So, I mean, this position is so gloriously fantastic, and you can't get high ownership on any of these guys because there are so many great ones. I'm going to say Witt, Henderson, Lindor, De La Cruz, Seager, Betts, Turner. Goodness gracious! Like,
Yeah,
this is
that's
silly.
outrageous.
It's a 2 shortstop kind of day if you got money, and that's how I rank them.
Play wherever you want.
Yeah, as long as you're spending up.
As long as but not
As long
whoever
as
you
they're
want,
good.
because there's like 20 shortstops. You got to X out.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. The double spend up if you can at short. Cheese, what are we doing in the old outfield?
It's a little tougher to get Judge and Ohtani. Like, that's the one thing you can't do with even like the 10K pitchers. Just play Judge and Ohtani with the shortstops. I'm okay skipping Judge and Ohtani. I prefer Ohtani if you can just afford one of them. And I also don't really like. I don't love like Profar and Merrill. Like, yes, I like them a lot, but I don't really want to play them as one-offs instead of like Santander, or if you can get up to Ohtani, I would kind of rather do that, or save a little more money and play like that Stanton, Adolis Garcia, Brandon Nimmo range. Michael Toglia, I like Spencer Steer. I would rather play 3 of those guys than have to punt something just to get Judge or Ohtani or Schwarber.
Yeah. Okay. Cards, some names in the outfield that you have a liking to?
Yeah, I like the Mets, so lean towards those guys. And on FanDuel, both Martinez and Winker are under 3K. Nimmo's 3,200. So that's pretty reasonable salary-wise compared to some of the other high-projected offenses tonight. Maybe throw Friedel hitting cleanup for the Reds into that mix as well. Obviously the Judge and Ohtani and Schwarber, they're all great, but 4K plus for most of those guys is a little bit tough on this slate where you do kind of want to try to prioritize spending up for your solo pitcher on FanDuel. Like the Toglia call, I think he's fine, especially if you're not full stacking the Rockies, but you want a little piece as a one-off spot. I think he's good. Let's see. Kind of scrolling through the like total punt range here. Tyler Black is hitting 3rd for Milwaukee. I mean, if you're not on Gavin Williams, he'd be the 21. I think there's probably going to be a lot of people hunting for like a 2K punt on FanDuel, like 1 2K punt to make the rest of your lineup work. There's not a whole lot out there, but he would be a guy you could throw in there as a cheap option. And Michael Harris leading off for the Braves, I think, is somewhat interesting as well.
Okay. Guys, we've got about 6 minutes here until we hit lock. We also did get a start time in Kansas City. 7:10 Eastern is your start time, so about a 30
Cincinnati,
minute.
Right?
What did I say? Kansas City?
You said, well, that's who they're playing, but the game's in Cincinnati,
Oh.
just in case that confuses anybody.
You're right. I blame Derek because he said Cincy KC. You see, that's what threw me. It should have said
Unbelievable,
Cincy.
Derek.
Derek, what are you doing? What are you doing, Derek?
Only soccer does that.
You
Don't do
jerk.
that.
Get out of here. Is that a thing soccer does? They do it backwards?
Yeah, they put the home team on top and on the left.
I hate it. Derek says, my fault. It's okay, but it's all right. No,
it's a British thing. I don't know.
Yeah. They do weird things with the months, right? It's 13 November instead of November 13th, right? No, they do weird things. Anyways, let's dive into some QQs. We are starting with FanDuel questions, to be clear, because we're only about 5 minutes here until lock. So if you have any FanDuel questions, get them in. And make sure you are getting ahead of the competition with RG Premium. NFL Premium for the season is now available. Non-premium users get over $100 off their NFL monthly subscription. All you have to do is click through the banner on RotoGrinders. You can also get yourself a 6-month combo sub. Exclusive price $469.99. What a steal. That'll save you $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can get a month of RG combo premium for $120. So we're just kind of time. How long do you want? How much do you want to spend? And if you're going all the way down to the bottom, 3-day pass. If you're punting the RG pass, 3-day pass is $19.99. What a deal. What a steal. Absolutely cannot beat it. Let's see what we got here in the RG Discord. That's where the cool kids are hanging out. I'm in the live stream chat. And we do have some FanDuel questions coming in. So let's get to these here. Cheese, FanDuel, GPP, small field, your favorite stack, not in course.
My favorite stack is not in course anyway. Phillies.
Okay. Cards, I'm coming to you from Greatness24. He says FanDuel, GPP, Gavin Williams, or Ryan Nelson.
I'm not playing any Ryan Nelson tonight, so Williams would be the answer, and he's not going to be as popular on FanDuel as he is on DraftKings.
Okay, we'll go to Razzle Dazzle, who says, who do you like at Cards? Second base, FanDuel single entry, Farmer at 21, Torres at 27, or Wilson at 2,400?
I'd probably go Wilson here, and it's too bad Dean's not still here for us to let him know that, or Dean wasn't here today, but he hit for the cycle yesterday, and I've heard that's Dean's favorite thing. So
Dean loves that.
Yeah, we got the cycle plus the recency bias, but Farmer, I always worry about whether he's still going to be in the game once Haney leaves. Torres, I'm not as high as most on the Yankees tonight, so yeah, give me Wilson.
Okay, very good. Cheese, FanDuel cash question, Bohm or Arias? It might be Bomb, it might be Bohm. I'm not certain.
Oh man, that's a weird, tough question. Like, I think the correct answer in cash is the leadoff hitter at course, but I prefer Bohm.
Okay. Another FanDuel GPP question from Beaner, Cheese, Vientos, or Nimmo, FanDuel GPP?
Love them both. Give me Nimmo.
Okay. Cards, I'm coming to you because this is a Cardinals-based question. Steve-O says, do you have... Yeah, Cards just could say, I hate them all. Don't play them. Do any of the Cardinals have pinch hit risk?
That's a good question. That's a question I can certainly attack. But that game starts at 8:15. So, and even if you're playing them on a FanDuel, you can still swap them around. So maybe if do we have any other FanDuel specific questions? We can address that one in like 4 minutes.
Sure. We do actually. Your favorite FanDuel stat cards?
It's probably still the Padres if you can fit them. If you're looking to go off the board, it's Baltimore for me.
Okay. Let's see. Cheese, Alvarez or Merrill?
Merrill.
J Sam says, Cheese, FanDuel single entry, being that Lorenzen is reverse splitsy, at least this season. Outside of Ellie, would you prefer right-hand batters like Stevenson, India Steer? Plus, seems like more pinch hit risk with guys like TJ Benson.
I definitely yes, that's Steer, Stevenson, and Ellie is my build around trio. I'm not really worried about the pinch hit risk. I mean, there is a little, but yeah, like you said, I prefer the righties just because I prefer the righties.
Okay. Very good. We are less than 2 minutes until lock. Boney in the YouTube chat says, Vinny P or Perez on FanDuel? And Cheese, I'll give that one to you. Vinny P or Perez on FanDuel?
I mean, that's so toss-uppy. I'm going to go lean slightly towards Vinny P, but that is a true coin toss.
Okay, great. We got some DraftKings. Let me see if I can find any more FanDuel here. I think we're doing pretty good. Here we go. Cards, would you play Stanton or Nimmo, FanDuel GPP?
Nimmo for me.
Okay. Hey, with that, we have essentially seconds away from FanDuel lock by the time I say this and it comes through to you, which means I think we can go ahead and answer that question, Cards, about Cardinals pinch hit risk, and then we'll flip the script and go to DK. But what are you thinking about Cards pinch hit risk?
Yeah, so they called Jordan Walker back up, who a year ago was like the number one prospect in baseball. They tried to mess with his swing. It didn't work. He was hitting for no power. They sent him back down. They just called him back up a week ago. And primarily they've called him back up to play against lefties. So the Dodgers are throwing a lefty tonight. So Jordan Walker's in there. And he's 2,100 on FanDuel, which is probably what's generating the question. They have basically kind of indicated that they will pinch hit like Nootbaar for him late in games if a righty comes in. So while I don't necessarily agree with doing that to your young talent, Walker is the guy that would have the pinch hit risk. The other guys, are pretty much all kind of entrenched into their everyday lineup. Maybe Tommy Pham, depending on the situation, but his would be a little bit less than Walker. Walker would be the more problematic one.
Okay, good note. Guys, we have hit FanDuel lock. It is time to talk DK. And I think as a little intermission before we do it, let's give the people some home run calls because you know that that's what they're waiting on. That's what they're clamoring for. So we will give them home run calls for DK since a home run call in these FanDuel games, that doesn't help because the game's already happened. So, Cheese, give me a few favorites here to hit a bomb.
Sure. Pete Alonso. Tommy Pham, the aforementioned Tommy Pham, and Michael Toglia.
Okay. Cards, you got a few names for me?
Like that, like the Toglia call. I will go with Anthony Santander and Brandon Nimmo, and they're both kind of expensive. You know what? After I just mentioned something about him getting pinch hit for, give me Walker at like plus 500 somewhere tonight. That's you can bet him to hit a home run. I don't love him for DFS, but I like this matchup for him tonight.
Okay, good stuff, guys. Let's talk about DK. And I suppose we've already discussed pitchers, but let's give kind of a rehash of that to people who are just tuning in.
This conversation is going to be so much more depressing. The slate is so much less exciting.
Yeah.
And not even just for the pitcher, like the good pitchers were everything, but also the good hitters. I don't really know.
It really is. When you look at your lineup, like every lineup I made on FanDuel, I have like 100 lineups on FanDuel. Everyone looks and feels amazing. Like I can't imagine how I lose. And I have probably like 40 DK lineups. Every one of them is terrible. I can't imagine how I possibly win.
Yeah, good times. Good times.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Okay, well, let's talk pitcher real quick. Cheese, if you could kind of just rehash pitcher just in general, break it down in case people are just getting to DK now.
Yeah, I am playing Schwellenbach ahead of Corbin Burns. You're welcome to play Burns, but I prefer Schwellenbach. And then I think Minaya and Arrighetti are probably the chalk because of their pricing, and I do love both of them. And that's my main pool: Schwellenbach, Minaya, and Arrighetti. And then Gavin Williams is the cheap guy that I'm using with a very light sprinkle of Andrew Heaney.
Okay, very good. With that, let's talk about the backs and cards. I will let you go first. Do we need to talk stacks here? I guess is that.
We do, because more have to come into the mix because of the lack of.
Okay, then Cheese, start there, and then we'll get cards thoughts on the stacks, and we'll go around the horn from there.
So like we mentioned, like on DraftKings, you do have to worry about ownership with the Padres and Mets because those are your two very obvious top teams. Whereas on FanDuel, it's spread out. I prefer the Mets over the Padres, but I do have a lot of both. Partly because with both of those teams, you can kind of play all different parts of the lineup. So even while I say the Padres are chalky, it's not like a clear, like these four guys are chalky. It's kind of, you can kind of mix and match. So I do like both those teams. After that, I go Orioles, Dodgers, Astros. But I am very spread out with stacks on DK because I don't feel like any of them are great outside of the two chalky ones. So it's pretty much just spread out and play a little bit of everybody.
Okay. Cards, your thoughts stack-wise?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much in agreement. I think the clear top two of the Padres and Mets, the Rockies would be my third, along with Baltimore, kind of as a 3A and 3B. And then, maybe the Dodgers right after that, though I kind of prefer them as one-off plays here.
Okay. Good stuff. Let's go around the horn. Let's talk about the catcher position. Cards, what are we doing?
Again, as we've both mentioned, your lineup, you're not going to like the way your lineup looks quite as much on DraftKings. And the salary cap is still a little bit tough to navigate. It's not like you can just, play Will Smith and play William Contreras or Wilson Contreras and, be all set. So you are going to have to make sacrifices in some places. You could go cheap at catcher. I think Alvarez for the Mets at 3,500 or Murphy at 3,900 is a nice kind of middle ground with the always, caveat that you can play whoever you have in your stack. But there actually are a decent amount of fairly strong projections. Even David Fry hitting fifth against Savale, I think is fine. But so if I just had to pick my top guys, sure, I'm going to go for William Contreras or Will Smith, but I think the opportunity cost of just a slightly higher projection given the salary constraints, it's got me going in the 3Ks more for those guys like Murphy or Alvarez tonight.
Okay, Cheese.
Yeah, pretty similar thoughts. I mean, I do love Contreras, the Cardinals version of Contreras, and I like Rutschman and Will Smith, but like salary just runs out in a hurry on DK. So I'm going even cheaper than that, really. Like I'm playing Victor Caratini. I've even got Corey Lee in Spencer Arquette lineups just because I just almost don't care who my catcher is if I can't get the expensive guy. If I have kind of that mid-tier salary, I like a little Ryan Jeffers as well. But really, I'm just quite content with those super cheap guys. And I know we've gotten a Cleveland lineup. Okay, yeah, Bo Naylor's in there, so he's in that cheap mix as well.
Okay, very good. Carl, what are we at? First base, Cheese.
Like Shohei is the top bat on the slate, but he's $6,800. That's kind of why I'm punting a bunch of spots so I can get him, but still he's not in the bulk of my lineups because that's a lot of money on a slate when I'm trying to spend up a pitching. But even the other guys like Cronenworth's expensive, Freeman's expensive, Jake Berger is expensive, Goldschmidt's expensive. So I think Alonso ends up as my favorite play, followed by Toglia and Josh Naylor and JD Martinez, because those guys are significantly cheaper. Mm-hmm. It's okay to punt all the way to Zach DeZenzo, I think, at 2,900. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Are you just making up names? Zach? Who? You just
you heard me.
Yeah, I think
that's the. Remember, what did somebody type? Dr. Zenzo the other day.
Oh,
that's Dr. Zenzo. This is him.
All right. Okay, now we know his real name. I forgot about Dr. Zenzo.
the Dr. Z. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cards. What are we doing at first?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind going down with a punt here. Black, again, I talked about him on FanDuel, would be okay, and he's the cheapest one available. Or even Noel for Cleveland. I mean, as a one-off guy who basically doesn't do much, but hits for power. So I like the matchup against Savale, kind of a mid-level strikeout guy. He is hitting lower in the order, but I think he's fine for GPPs. Or maybe throw Cleveland in that kind of more of a sneakier stack on DK because we have fewer options. I mentioned I don't really love them as a stack on FanDuel, but I think over here they're more viable. Otherwise, the likes of pay up for the top guys if you can, or perhaps Pete Alonso as the kind of middle ground play with his salary. I mean, if you look at Ohtani is 6,800 on DK and Alonso is 4,600. I mean, that's a pretty big difference in salary. So I agree with Cheese's comment that you just Alonso seems to fit the builds nicely tonight.
Yeah. Okay. How about second base?
So Cronenworth is the one Padre bat that I am going to try to get into, some builds, even though the salary is tough. Mentioned that he's my favorite one. So, and you can play him at first or second. This is a position that's really not super different from FanDuel. There aren't a lot of elite guys on that FanDuel in those FanDuel only games that were at second. So Gavin Lux is in play. Jeff McNeil's in play, even though he's hitting at the bottom of the order. I don't really have a whole lot to add except, I think Jackson Holiday on DraftKings at 3,400 is viable, even though it's lefty and he's hitting lower in the order.
Yeah. Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, Cronenworth really stands out here. I think he's a worthy spend. Alex Semien pretty well as a spend up too. The cheap stuff, it's all very close with Jackson Holiday, Gavin Lux, and Jeff McNeil. And then if you need the full punt, I think Kyle Farmer, even with pinch hit risk at 2,100, is fine.
Okay. How about third base?
Third base is loaded. Most of the same names with that same idea of like Machado's your chalk, which makes me really love Jose Ramirez and Royce Lewis to be different. But I also like Ryan McMahon and Mark Vientos a very good bit. So that makes this kind of my least favorite position to punt, other than shortstop. So yeah, spend up at third. And really Vientos is cheap enough. You don't even have to spend up. So like with him being 39, there's not a lot of incentive to go cheaper than that outside of a stack.
Okay, Cards, you got some third base thoughts?
Yeah, I agree on, Vientos probably being the lowest guy at 3,900. I think Arenado's okay at 43 if you want to play some Cardinals. I'm obviously not super high on them tonight, but I think some one-off plays are okay. But McMahon, probably the guy I'll be the most overweight on here on DK because the Rockies do climb up the board for me a little bit more over here.
Okay, how about shortstop?
Yeah, so we don't have as many names as we did on FanDuel for obvious reasons, but it's still plenty loaded because, all right, it's all the same guys, but the guys that we have on DK, of the high-end guys, I maybe named 8 of them on FanDuel. There's, 5 of them here. It would still be Lindor, Tovar as probably the 2 I'll be most overweight on. You can play Mookie. I'm only playing Gunner in Baltimore stacks tonight. You can play Corey Seager, but Tovar and Lindor are the high-end guys. I am not going cheap here. There's too much opportunity cost with the high-end guys. I think this is the one where you do have to spend up. If you absolutely need a name in kind of the middle range, it's probably Orlando Arcia at 3,400, but I am not going below Lindor.
Okay, wow. Cheese?
Yeah, it's so good with that top group. I'm most overweight on Seager, just because I think he'll be like a third of the ownership of Lindor. And I'm mostly playing Mookie Betts in the outfield. I like Gunnar Henderson a little more, but they're all expensive and to me worth it. But like Lindor and Seager are just slightly enough cheaper than Henderson and Betts. That's where I'm mostly ending up.
Okay, how about the outfield, Cheese?
The outfield. Ohtani again, fantastic, but pretty hard to get to. I like Santander a lot. The Padres guys are pricey. I prefer Merrill over Profar, I guess, but I don't think you have to have them. Same thing with the Rockies. Like I like Brenton Doyle, but 58 is a lot. So I'm going a lot more to the mid tier with Mets and Orioles and Adolis Garcia and Tommy Pham. The Mets being Nimmo, Martinez, and Winker. I have a lot of all 3 of those guys. I think you can play David Peralta, probably more in cash or in a stack. There's plenty of punts if you need them. Like I think all the super cheap Astros are fine. Dubon and McCormick. I think like Will Brennan and Leody Taveras are fine. Like none of these guys are like fantastic. But most of my lineups did end up needing one just random super cheap outfielder like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cards, what are you doing in the outfield?
Yeah, it is pretty tough to get a lineup where you don't at least need to play one punt guy. And Margot will probably be a popular one that people will ask about, but just like with Farmer earlier, I just worry a little bit about the pinch hit risk there. So I'd probably rather go to Brennan. He's a little bit cheaper. He's hitting second for Cleveland. Pham is a little bit affordable on DK as well. David Peralta, if you want the cheaper Padres guys. And I mentioned Michael Harris. Just in passing on FanDuel, he's a better play on DraftKings because the salary is not that much higher. And obviously the slate isn't quite as deep. So, if you go like a Nimmo Harris, that generally opens up enough salary to where maybe you can spend up for a Profar or a Merrill, or you can potentially get all the way up to Ohtani. Otherwise, I kind of think that between the 2 sites, we've hit on the names, most of them, and with what Cheese just mentioned. So if anybody asks about anybody else, we can handle it with questions, but I think we've covered it.
Sure. I am seeing, it looks like Rutch Dog was scratched. Now, I'm just seeing this in the chat. I haven't seen this confirmed, but that seems pretty noteworthy, right?
It is, because I really like Baltimore. So,
and it actually... Well, that's bad. That actually helps the Baltimore stack if McCann comes in and you save all that salary, lets you play someone else.
Right. He is, Derek in the chat saying he is indeed scratched. So
it is McCann. He's batting 9th. So Kowser leading off, Santander, Henderson, Mountcastle, Eloy, Holiday. So those guys are moving up a spot. I think that makes them better as values. Mullins, Urias, and McCann does also make the stack affordable. as Cheat just mentioned. So that's the updated lineup.
So, Cards, are you just going straight from Rutschman to McCann and then spending that extra salary elsewhere? Is that the game?
Yeah,
plan?
so that's the global the global swap to make the lineups work and also free up like 2K to where now I've just got to go upgrade a bat or pitcher with those lineups.
Is everyone going to be on McCann now? Because even if you didn't have Rutschman, you're like, oh, I can get McCann.
No, because this
No.
news is coming out at 6:56.
Yeah.
He's hitting ninth. That game starts in 9 minutes. So yeah, it's not like he's this can't miss play.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay, very good. Excellent. Let's take some questions. Devin, by the way, says I had a ton of Baltimore exposure and somehow not a single lineup with Rutsch Dog.
Well, aren't you the specialist?
You look at you.
Gonna have to put a little investigation on this.
What happened to Rutschman? Was
He's
hit
got
him in
his
the knee with a
Tanya
lead
Harding crowbar
Yeah.
out there or something.
I question everything right now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's take a few of these
Swap
DK
here.
questions. We might not make it all the way until lock because we started early, but we'll see what happens. Starting with Yaz's Army Cheese in a 20 max on DK. I'm playing my share of Williams, but I also have a couple Brewer stacks because I expect his ownership to creep up. Do you guys have any Brewer stacks?
Not in a 20 max, like in my 40 lineups on DK. Yes, I have probably 2. They don't quite make my first 20 lineups. But yeah, I mean, really and truly, there is not a stack on this DK slate that I would tell you not to play.
Okay. We'll go to Tom's question. Cards, DK Cash, Mania and Kepler or Schellenbach and Kiermaier?
I would play the first one.
Oh, God. I love Schellenberger and
Well, I do too,
Kiermaier.
but I'm not playing Kiermaier.
Oh, all right. That's fair. You shouldn't. And I think he said he's retiring after the season. Did you see that?
It's never a good sign when you announce it before the,
Especially
it's not like
when
he's
no
going to
one
be the guy
cares.
that's, I mean, he's not the guy. I can understand it, when you're like a Hall
Barry
of Fame bound
Bonds.
guy and
Yeah.
you're going to get the farewell tour, but no offense to Kevin Kiermaier, but I don't think he's at that stage.
Nobody's seeing the farewell tour for the outlaw, Kevin Kiermaier. Schellenberger Cheese over 6.5 Ks. Over 6.5 Ks. What do you think? And I only ask because someone may or may not have led all of RotoGrinders to bet over 6.5 strikeouts for Schellenberger.
Personally, I love the over, every over you could get on him. I wrote about this in a couple places today, but he is basically Paul Skeens against righties. I mean, he's like 34% strikeouts, and the Angels are, I think, 6 righties. I love it. Yeah.
Yes. Let's go.
That Skeens guy is pretty good. I've heard.
Yeah.
But so is that Schwellenbach guy. Yeah.
Get him, Schellenberger. All right, let's see. FanDuel I missed a question here. Blink 182 says Cards large field DK tournament. Jose Soriano and Dr. Enzo or Gavin Williams and Toglia.
I go with Gavin Williams and Toglia.
Okay, can you remind me who Dr. Enzo really was, just so that I know?
From Seinfeld, the barber.
Okay, no, that one.
That's not Dr. Enzo. That's Enzo the barber.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I feel like there's a Dr. Enzo too. I'm gonna have to Google that.
All right, we'll find out. Cards FanDuel GPP Marlin stack. Any interest in a Marlin stack?
Next year, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think we're going there the rest of this year.
Yeah. Geez, any Dr. Enzo? There's a Dr. No.
No, I just find actual people like that you can go see, named Dr. Enzo.
It's Zach DeCenzo,
there's a
by the way.
podiatrist in Pasadena, Maryland, which I'm going to go see him this afternoon. Just to see how he's doing.
A podiatrist.
And to see what Pasadena, Maryland looked like. I wouldn't have guessed that was a place.
I didn't either. I thought Pasadena was in California.
Dr. Enzo, who practices dermatology at the Miller School of Medicine in Miami. I mean, there's a lot of them, actually.
A lot of Dr. Enzos, as it turns out. Who knew? Okay. DKGPP, Cheese, Pages of St. Louis and Pham, or Caratini and Myers of Houston?
Yeah. I like both those a little bit. Caratini Myers.
Okay. Try Hard says Jordan Walker or Margot, parentheses, I already have 4 St. Louis players.
I mean, I both have pinch hit risk, and if you're building out the full St. Louis stack, it's probably a donation, but play Walker.
Okay. Let's see. We'll take a few more questions from the YouTube, and then we're going to bounce on out of here. Miami 1-2-3 at a DK GPP. We already kind of ixnayed that. Cards says that's a negative on Miami. Cards, your favorite Cardinal to homer. Mine is Goldschmidt. He did not quite spell it that way, but I'm sure that's what he meant. Cards, your favorite card to homer.
Yeah, several play on words with the Goldschmidt name around our household. Old Schmidt being the family friendly.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Old Schmidt is the family friendly one.
He would fit well on this show with us, Cards.
Yeah, he fit right in.
Yeah, he would. He'd fit very well.
Yeah.
A little too much swing and miss, and not enough home run from him this season has been a problem. But yeah, I would probably go with based on the odds. I like Walker the best, and probably Arenado and Pham if you're wanting a power ranking.
Okay. Jim says, Cheese, can I play Garcia with Seager as a combo?
I like that a very large amount. Yes.
Okay. And then we got, this might be our last question here from Matt Smith, Sean Murphy and Arcia, or McCann and Willie Adames, DK Cash. Murphy, Arcia, or McCann, Adames, DK Cash.
McCann, Adames for me.
Okay. Very good. Guys, with that, we have almost hit the lock. We've answered all the questions. We've broken down 2 different slates. We've given weather updates, and we all need to cheer loudly for Schwellenberger to get over 6.5 Ks so I can continue the squad rides run. If you see me posting about a bet, know that I won that squad rides run, and we're going to run it back tomorrow. We're going to bounce on out of here. So for Cards and for Cheese and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.